Welcome everyone to the Muffs ART-CHIVE channel. I'm Muffs, this is my secondary channel where I'll talk about anything I like that has to do with art and commentary always in my mind. Today we'll talk about the current state of Pokemon and Nintendo as a whole, and how worried I am as a fan. First things first, here's some very needed context. By the way, please subscribe, support my channel, and don't forget to watch the video until the very end. Anyway, I've been a Pokemon fan since I was a kid. I haven't owned any gaming console that is not from Nintendo in the last 10 years, by the way. I'm 19 years old as of the recording of this video, so that's a pretty long time. Pokemon has been a part of my development as a person, and I'm not joking when I say this. I have enjoyed the last few games, and Pokemon is very special to me. It holds a very dear place in my heart. My idea for this video started, or I guess came up inside my head, because I recently bought Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX for the Switch 1. I got it as a resale that made the game 20 euros cheaper. So I was pretty happy about it. I was pretty happy that I wasn't scammed, and I loved that game. Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity was my first ever Pokemon game, Nintendo game actually, so it made me very emotional. And I currently do not own a Nintendo Switch 2, by the way, but there was a Nintendo Direct recently that was quite controversial within Nintendo fans. I really liked the Direct, but I don't think it was perfect, not at all. I loved the new Mario Tennis game, because I used to play that a lot when I was a kid. It was one of my favorite games ever. I liked to see the new Fire Emblem game, the Super Mario Galaxy movie, but then there was some things that really bothered me. I'm here mostly to talk about Pokemon, but I'll just get some other things out of the way. That whole Virtual Boy mess, I didn't really like it. I felt like it was a bit of a nostalgia bait. I get the concept. I get that Nintendo really wants to have, I guess, like the kids that are now growing up, becoming adults, and having their own money to relive the experiences they had, 10 to 20 years ago in a better format, but I just didn't really like the whole Virtual Boy thing. I don't really know how to explain my opinion on this, to be honest, but I feel like that overall Nintendo is still not listening to us who consume and play their games enough. I feel like what they're releasing is just not up to our expectations, and I get that in many cases some of us have over the top expectations and ideas and concepts of what we would like Nintendo to do and to release, and I get that they really shouldn't just release everything they have in store for Nintendo Switch 2 in the first few months of the console's life, I guess, release. But the truth is, Nintendo and their fans and people like me who pretty much don't really do a lot of gaming besides on Nintendo's titles are not happy. So of course someone that only casually plays Nintendo titles will be even unhappier, if that's how I could put it. And don't get me wrong, I feel like Pokemon fans have a very toxic behavior that repeats itself every time a new Pokemon game, mainline game, is released. Like a pattern that goes something like this. A new game is released, everyone hates it and says that the previous game was actually so good, but the truth is, when that previous game came out, they were also hating on that previous game. And then they put new expectations on a Pokemon title, those expectations are not met, but the reality is that those expectations were somewhere in the middle of the last game, but they didn't really care about it, and they mindlessly hated it before, but then they changed their opinion, and then it's a mess. Anyway, Pokemon fans have a very big problem. I mean, at least the ones that are overly negative have a very big problem in just not being realistic, expecting too much, not consuming things critically, and not letting themselves enjoy things that are new and that don't necessarily apply to the perfect, clean-cut image of what they want for the next Pokemon game. And honestly, that's not the end of the world, okay? A lot of this depends on personal opinion. For example, a lot of people don't like that, for example, in the new Legends ZA game that is coming out in October, the cutscenes seem to be very flat, uninteresting, and just boring. But for example, to me, I don't care about the cutscene. I'm not bothered about it. What I really like about Pokemon is how they're able to tell the story in the way you battle and actually interact with the Pokemon. So a cutscene being boring and bland and just awkward is not gonna bother me. But there's people who would love for Pokemon to invest in more interesting way of telling their stories with action-filled cutscenes and battles and environments, and that's just not for me. And then, again, everyone has their personal opinions. But then at the same time, Nintendo is way too confident in their fans' loyalty to the brand and to Pokemon as a franchise. Nintendo is clearly extremely confident in Legend ZA's success between Pokemon fans and not only, and we can see that pretty well because of the fact that they announced a DLC for Pokemon Legend ZA, a game that hasn't even come out. So, additional content you have to pay for, so content that is behind a paywall, that is going to be released on the same day as the actual game. What? Sorry, when I saw this, I was like, oh, okay, cool, we have a DLC. Okay, they're following the steps of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Pokemon Sword and Shield, but a DLC upon release. Why is the DLC just not part of the main game? Why are they charging extra? Why? Don't get me wrong, by the way, I loved the new 5 Mega Evolutions they showed on the Nintendo Direct, but I don't like that Nintendo is pushing a DLC to be released on the same day of the actual game and pretending like that's not an issue. Like everyone's just gonna buy it right away and waste their money like it's nothing. Spend their money like it doesn't matter. I don't know the correct prices of Legend ZA and the DLC, and also it kind of depends on your currency. So I'm Portuguese, I'm from Portugal, we have euros here currently. So the game is about 70 euros, I think, and then the DLC is 30, I think. So that means that you gotta spend 100 euros to have the full game upon release. Who is going to do that? Genuinely. I mean, I know there's people who have that money to spend, and that's okay. It's your decision. It's your money. You do whatever you want with your money, but it makes me very surprised to see so many people just not even questioning this types of actions and decisions by Nintendo. And let me be very clear, I respect Nintendo so much and the legacy they've had in the gaming industry, and as someone who is studying multimedia, arts, whatever, I would love to work in studios like this and projects like these, but these practices do not align with me as a fan, as a consumer. And I'd rather be honest than sugarcoat my opinion. Oh, and by the way, an additional detail is that the Mega Evolutions for Chestnut, Greninja, and Delphox are hidden behind an extra paywall, because it was just confirmed that those 3 Mega Evolutions are obtained by competing in the online battle system that Pokemon Legends ZA will have. So you not only have to spend an extra, I don't know how many euros, monthly or weekly, whatever, to maintain your Nintendo Online subscription, you also have to put in the effort. So you don't just pay and have the Mega Evolutions like in an easy way. No, you have to pay and actually put in the effort to do well in online battling. And look, me personally, I don't own a Pokemon game to do online battling, so I'm not gonna spend my time like investing myself in online Pokemon battling to have those 3 Mega Evolutions, which kind of makes me sad because I really like those 3 Mega Evolutions. So I don't know. But as of now, I don't feel like spending that much time and effort to have those 3 Mega Evolutions. And overall, what all of this makes me is disappointed, but not necessarily surprised, because honestly, all of this shows me one thing that I've seen many people that I follow and am subscribed to say, that Nintendo is trying to push 90, 80 euros to 100 euros set price for a Nintendo title, main title, a game on release. And that is honestly outrageous. An outrageous price for a game. And for a game that doesn't offer like an unlimited amount of content on its original and unaltered state. And also Nintendo's policies on mods and those types of contents, like fan games, etc., just makes your game more difficult to be remembered or played for a long time. And once again, don't get me wrong, I loved Pokemon Sword and Shield, I loved Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Pokemon Legends Arceus was really good. And again, me personally, I don't really care about cutscenes, I don't really care about whether the graphics are the best thing ever, because I prefer gameplay and overall style rather than being very mad that a tree is not shaded in the way I'd like it to, if you get what I mean. But yeah, I get the outrage that has been coming from Nintendo fans over the past few years. I do feel like some people go too far, but again, I get you. I'm working on a video talking about my full experience playing Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX for the Switch 1, but I get the feeling of growing up with a franchise that eventually disappoints you because it doesn't feel the same way anymore. And I feel like Nintendo knows these feelings from a lot of now adult fans, and they're trying to slowly capitalize on nostalgia bait and overall nostalgia, the feelings of nostalgia people have, but it's not really working well. It's just making people more frustrated. I personally really liked, for example, Pokemon Scarlet's overall storyline, the lore of the game. I feel like it was so cool, but I do see a lot of issues in the gameplay, the overall, I don't know the correct word for this, but like the fact that the game had a lot of bugs and didn't really run correctly on the console upon release. So even though I can see that Nintendo is very confident in Pokemon Legends ZA, and that so far I've been loving the direction they're taking with Pokemon Legends ZA, because I do like open world games, but they're not really my thing. I prefer games that are more restricted in terms of story and the things you can do. I'd rather have like a short, really good story than a huge world with nothing. But I feel like Nintendo is being too confident, maybe. Or they're just taking our love, passion, and money on the franchise, on the Pokemon franchise, for granted. And once again, I don't want anyone to think that I hate Nintendo or that I hate Pokemon, because that's not true. And I feel like the internet is promoting people to just not listen to each other properly. So if you're reaching this part of the video, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to me recording this almost at midnight in my little room. And I hope you understand my perspective. And I hope you also leave your thoughts in the comments if you disagree with me, etc. So to sum it all up, I liked the games they announced on the Nintendo Switch Direct. Oh, also, I loved the new Tomodachi game. I'm really excited for that. That trailer was actually one of the best we got in a while from Nintendo. Anyway, I went off topic. The Nintendo Direct was good, but it still wasn't enough, and it was a bit tone deaf in some ways because of the nostalgia bait Nintendo is trying to push by charging way too much on things that people have already experienced and don't really want to have to pay for again. And also the fact that they're taking us for granted, which is not a good look for them, but it also kind of shows how weak some of us are with the money they work so hard for. You get what I mean? Legend ZA is so promising. It's good to see that Nintendo is confident in this game. I'm really excited for the game. I feel like it's gonna be really good. Probably the best game. I hope it will be the best game we've seen from Pokemon since 2020. And at the same time, I can really be as confident and happy as I would have been. Anyway, once again, leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm Muffs. Thank you so much for listening to my random thoughts until here, and I'll see you in another video.